Hello and welcome back to All Elite Morro plays Total Extreme Wrestling 9 booking WCW 1992. 2. 1, 2. You might notice a little change up to the set today. I'm doing some renovations here in the office. A few upgrades coming in over the next week. Most notably, a new microphone system. So I'll be sounding a lot better than this one. I bought this one because it came recommended, but turns out it's pretty shit. So new microphone coming in and some new artwork coming in. And yeah, so things will be looking better over here in the next few weeks. Welcome back to episode 2, booking WCW 1992. We did the episode 0, which was the kind of a walk through the game, how it's done, booked the first show. And then we did episode 1, which brought us up to our first pay-per-view, WCW Clash of Champions 18, where Sting defeated Lex Luger to win the WCW World Heavyweight title. We also had Steamboat and Rhodes defend the tag titles. We had Cactus Jack and Terry Funk go to a double count out. We had Steve Austin beating Barry Windham to retain the television title. Rick Rude defeated the Great Muta to retain the US title. And Liger defeated Terrence Taylor for the lightweight title. We also had Big Van Vader beating Ron Simmons and the Steiners beating the Freebirds, and then some pre-show stuff. Thought it'd be interesting. WCW or WWE have held the Royal Rumble. Shall we check in on the results of what's happening in our biggest rivals? If we go to show history here, we click on WWF Royal Rumble. And just like the real 1992, the Nature by Ric Flair won a 30 wrestler battle royal to win the WWF Royal Rumble. They had Snuka beat Bret Hart for the Intercontinental title. Legion of Doom beat the Natural Disasters for the tag titles. Nasty Boys over the Bushwhackers. Brooklyn Brawler defeats Jannetty by DQ. And then kind of just a lot of other stuff to round out the card. They do a lot of angles. Way more than us. Let's keep it that way. We like our wrestling. Few little roster updates. So Lex Luger has one appearance left on his contract. As you know, he doesn't work TV. Hate this guy. The only problem I have is he is tremendously popular. So I need to find a baby face that he's going to put over on his way out the door. He has red hot momentum as well. This is sad. This is sad. That's not going to work out. Look, Junkyard Dog has big morale issues. The man is angry. Can you blame him? We've been beating the brakes off him. He's lost to Regal. He's lost to Austin. He did defeat Rip Rogers. Who else is angry? Big Josh is angry. El Gigante is angry. We've been beaten. We used El Gigante to put over Regal, but we gave him a couple of wins as well. But he's not happy that he had to put over Regal. Big Josh. Look, Big Josh hates me anyway, aka Matt Borne. And as I've said previous episodes, fuck this guy. We've been beating the brakes off him, really. Well, not really, actually, to be fair. But we did have him put over Lord Stephen Regal, who is a relative unknown at this stage of 1992. Big Van Vader, pleased, warm momentum. Yeah, their roster's looking good. Have I made any signings since the last episode? No. Am I negotiating signings? I am. I do have one major signing plus one big signing to unveil over the course of today's episode. Today we are building up to one of our biggest shows of the year, Superbrawl, which is taking place in just over a month. So we have quite a few TV shows to get through. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, we're here for WCW Power Hour. This is a total nothing of a show. Vinny Vegas beats Sonny Trout in the pre-show. Arachnaman beats Bob Cook. I'm actually doing something with Arachnaman tonight. It's Brad Armstrong under that mask. Brad Armstrong's really good wrestler. Arachnaman's a crap gimmick. He's going to be on WCW main TV show tonight in an angle. Like he can perform. It's 56. He just has a terrible gimmick. Ultimate Dragon pre-show match beats George South. Into the main show, Lord Stephen Regal beats Van Hammer with the Regal stretch in 8 minutes. Not a bad match for B Show. We get an interview with Barry Windham. He didn't do well without a script, but he still got a decent segment around. Barry's talking about his loss to Steve Austin at Clash of Champions. Then we get Brian Pillman defeats a young Jerry Lynn in 8 minutes with the Air Pillman. Jerry Lynn sustained cracked ribs, not ideal. Thanks, Michael. We have Steve Austin once again calling out the roster, saying nobody's on his level in a promo. Then we get Ricky Martin and Tommy Rich beating Jumpin' Joey Maggs and Todd Champion. Todd has been an absolute job squad for us. Tommy Rich and Ricky Martin just aren't getting the ratings to put them on the main TV show. We need to do something with them. Maybe gimmick changes, I don't know, but something has to change because these guys are cold. It's 1992, their heyday was in the 80s, but they're a fantastic tag team, and I'd like to extract a little bit more juice from them. Then we get an interview with Paulie Dangerously and Eric Bischoff. Paulie Dangerously is basically hyping up what his faction is going to do on the main show later tonight. And then we get a wrestling match in the main event where Larry Zbyszko beats Marcus Alexander Bagwell in 8 minutes with a Larry Land Dreamer submission. Excellent performance from Larry Zbyszko. Should probably use him on the main show more often. Is he getting penalised for physical condition? He is, but he's still putting on great performances. Like if you think 70 there, that's higher than what Stone Cold Steve Austin is doing. It's higher than what a lot of my pushed talent are doing. So maybe Larry needs a push. Decent show overall. Look, it's a B show. We don't really care, do we? Now let's get into the main TV show tonight. Some of this is going to set up stuff for the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view is 6 weeks away though, so we're going to have kind of like almost a special episode a week from this one where there will be some title matches on the show that are going to be set up tonight. It's to kind of break up the gap between it being a long. Right, so we're here for the main card of the night. This is a very newsworthy show. Well, it's planned to be anyway, so let's jump into it and see what happens. We have 8,344 people sell out in Lubbock Municipal Coliseum in Texas. Pre-show match, Barry Windham beats Mr. Hughes. I have Mr. Hughes on my roster, haven't used him yet. I wanted to see what kind of rating he would get. Comes in with a 44, not terrible. Barry with a decent 63. We have Lord Stephen Regal just getting in a little job match there against Jobber Jim Boss. And then we get a little tryout match on the pre-show. Booker T and Stevie Ray take on the Fabulous Freebirds. Wanted to have a look at Booker T and Stevie Ray. Unsigned young guys. You may have an idea who they are. Harlem Heat, one of the great tag teams of the 90s. Stevie Ray with 38, Booker T with a 44. Might try and sign them up. Use them on my B shows and pre-shows. Get them a bit of experience. They're probably penalised for inexperience, are they? No, they're not. They must have decent experience. Did they get a tag team bonus? Booker T has great star quality. No tag team special. Oh yeah, they got a bonus for tag chemistry. They'll be worth bringing in and I think kind of nurturing along a little bit because on the pre-show, unknown to our crowd to get those ratings isn't bad at all. Here we go to the first match of the main show. We get the Steiner brothers defeating the Diamond Mine of the Diamond Stud and Vinny Vegas. We've seen DDP get injured with a broken jaw last week. So they'll be moving on without him, the leader of their faction for the time being. Scotty Steiner with a great performance, Rick with a decent performance, the Diamond Stud with a decent performance. Anything of note in this match, DDP was there at ringside managing his tag team, but he does have a broken jaw. Both teams have excellent chemistry. A lot to talk about in this one. But then we get a little bit of a stare down between the Diamond Stud and Vinny Vegas after the match. Something is amiss with these two. What's happening? The Diamond Stud and Vinny Vegas aren't happy with each other after their loss. So they have a little bit of a stare down, a little bit of a blame game, a little bit of an angle. One of these may be turning face in the very near future. because really my lower mid card is severely lacking baby faces. I'm trying to book Superbrawl and I'm looking at opponents for both Rick Rude and Stunning Steve Austin, and there's just an absolute lack of interesting baby faces for either of them to take on. So I'm going to have to start building up my babyface mid card because it's dog shit at the moment. Then we get an angle that Sting cuts a very good 6 minute promo speaking about Big Van Vader, speaking about Paul Dangerously and his comments on the B show earlier, and speaking about Rick Rude, who he's facing off in a 6 man tag match against tonight. Excellent rating. Sting doing great work on the mic. We get Big Van Vader against Big Josh. Look at this. Showing true unprofessionalism. A clearly unhappy Big Josh completely phoned in his performance. It was clear to everyone that he wasn't trying at all. So maybe, look, the relationship between Matt Borne and myself, the booker, has soured to such an extent that we probably just can't have him here anymore. Um, might be time to release Matt Borne if he's just not putting in any effort. 35 there, like Vader's just completely carried the rating on this match. But Vader is the #1 contender for Sting's title. Then we get Ron Simmons versus Shane Douglas. Tidy little match there with a segment rating of 67. Still a hot crowd. Ron Simmons gets the victory over Shane Douglas. No surprise at this point of either of their careers. I'm thinking maybe Ron Simmons. See, I had Ron Simmons in the um main event feud for the last pay-per-view cycle. I don't know if he is good enough really for that, given his ratings of things like 66s and that. Um, so I'm wondering, will I move him into the US title picture and maybe have him feud with Rick Rude? That could be an answer to the US title picture. So yeah, that's an idea I'm kind of tinkering with. So I'm just keeping him hot. He lost to Vader on the pay per view. He's getting a good win back against Shane Douglas here on TV. We have a 6 man tag. We have Ultimo Dragon, Jushin Liger, and Brian Pillman versus Terence Taylor and the Young Pistols, consisting of Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers. Brian Pillman gets the pin here, though, on Terence Taylor. Terence just off a title shot loss to Liger. Pillman gets the pin. Could Pillman be the #1 contender now for Liger's title? What I'm doing here as well is I'm putting Ultimo Dragon in these spots, hoping that some of the popularity of Pillman and Liger will kind of filter down onto him. We'll check his popularity after this show as well. And then we get Terry Funk versus Abdullah the Butcher. Abdullah doesn't have long left on his contract. He is a pretty bad backstage influence. Also, it's 1982. He's physically fairly shot. So you can see his ratings here is 55. It's fine, but it's never going to get better than that. When I went to make this a slightly longer match, I went to have this as an 8 minute brawl, and the road agent, who was I did have it as a brawl. Who's my road agent for this match? Mike Graham. Mike Graham came to me and said Abdullah doesn't have the stamina for a 9 minute brawl, so we had to make it a 6 minute match. But Terry Funk, um, good heat and decent wrestling. So Terry's still performing there, 71 at his age. Incredible stuff. Terry Funk debuted a new spot that got the crowd buzzing. His psychology will be helped by being able to use it as go-to spot in the future. Terry is building up for a big Falls Count Anywhere rematch with Cactus Jack. It looks like that's going to take place at Superbrawl. Two of them went to a double count out at the last pay-per-view. So here on an outside broadcast, we get Cactus Jack cutting a promo on Terry Funk. Decent segment rating, keeps the crowd hot. And Jack is excellent at Cactus Jack, no surprise, is excellent at going off script. And then we get Steve Austin versus Arachnaman, making defense number 14 of the WCW World Television title. Good performance out of Steve Austin. His performance have really improved. He's probably gotten more momentum, so he's getting a boost. Is he getting a boost for momentum? Yeah, good momentum. Okay, so when he does performances, he was putting in the first few weeks around high 50s, low 60s. Now he's in the high 60s because his momentum has improved. Look, this is a glorified squash match. Steve Austin is taking the piss with the world television title. This is defense number 14. He's just beaten Barry Windham. That's good, but his TV defenses have been against older guys, guys with crap gimmicks like Arachnaman. What have we here? Larry Zbyszko and Steve Austin attack Arachnaman. They beat the ever living shit out of him for a full 5 minutes. Is this the end of Arachnaman? What's going to happen with Arachnaman? Has Arachnaman been killed off WCW TV? The answer, my friends, will be revealed on next week's episode of WCW TV, not this. It'll be revealed on today's episode of this. And then we get into our main event of the night, Sting and Steamboat and Rhodes versus Rick Rude, Anderson and Blanchard. Anderson and Blanchard are back together. Rick Rude pins Dustin Rhodes while using the ropes for leverage. So next week, this is setting up a couple of matches. I'm going to get Sting versus Rick Rude, the world champion versus the US title champion for the world title on free TV, Saturday night WCW. We're going to get Dustin Rhodes and Ricky Steamboat versus the iconic tag team of Anderson and Blanchard for the tag titles. We got a big double header next week. That's going to be huge. Any negatives there except for not too many managerial chemistry. Might have to do something about that. But yeah, we got a big tag title match coming up, and we got a big world title match coming up on free to air television. This increased our popularity in 7 regions, benefited from having a wide selection of angles. Overall, 81, very good show. I'm sure it's profitable with over 8,000 sellout. Let's see. Jerry Lynn's cracked ribs. He's only out for 7 days. He's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. And then $112,000 profit on the night. Not too bad. Let's see our popularity. Yeah, we're not jumping up in any of our key regions. Well, Mid-South. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast, we haven't made progress there, but we have in a lot of places. New England, Northwest, Tri-State, New York. Maybe we'll start to run some of these regions. Yeah, we'll take a hit on money in the short term, but if we can build a base, maybe in the Southwest, maybe we'll travel to the Southwest. We might go into places like Arizona and that, and not far from the Mid-South. We might be able to do some decent houses there and increase our popularity. That's the show. Let's see you momentarily for the next batch of shows. Okay, we are back for the A show this week. We're not doing the B show. I've done the B show. We'll look at the results after this, but we're not going to go through it match by match like we normally would, because I realise this is a 6-week paper or a 6-week pay-per-view cycle. We're going to just do the A shows and then look at the results of the B show. Huge A show tonight. We got Sting versus Rick Rude for the world title, and we got Steamboat and Rhodes versus Anderson and Tully Blanchard for the tag titles. We also have some surprises lined up here as well. We actually had quite a noteworthy B show, and we'll get into that after this. A little pre-show match, Van Hammer beating Navajo Warrior. We're bringing in Navajo Warrior for tryout. He only had an 18, so I guess he's got a lot more seasoning to do on the independents. We have Tom Zink, Z-Man beating Rip Rogers. Z-Man putting in decent performances, 51. Regal with another solid performance, beating PN News. Just again trying to expose Lord Steven Regal to an American audience. Important to note here, we're in a Tucson arena, Tucson, Arizona tonight. We see a drop off in our normal attendances. We're down to 5,000. Taking a hit on the money to try and build our profile in the Southwest region by coming to Tucson. It's not a sellout. The Tucson arena holds about 8,000, I think. So we're not a sellout tonight. We have 5,000 in there, not a bad house, but we're trying to kind of enhance our profile in different regions around the country. And then into the main card, we get the Diamond Mine, Vinny Vegas, and the Diamond Stud, who we saw a little bit of, what would you call it? A little bit of arguing after their loss last week. Well, they've lost again this week. This time to Liger and Pillman. The two big men, Vinny Vegas and the Diamond Stud, Scott Hall have lost to the two juniors, the junior champion and the junior light heavyweight title number one contender, Brian Pillman. This isn't good for the Diamond Mine. Something's going to have to change for those guys. Things aren't looking good for them. These two should be a dominant tag team, but it's just not happening. And then we get a very interesting announcement from Gordon Solie. In the back, he announces that Lex Luger will in fact be wrestling at Superbrawl 2. Who's he going to wrestle at Superbrawl 2? We don't know, but he is going to be on the show. Big announcement from Gordon Solie. Wonderful man on the microphone. You can see there, segment rating 71. Good man. We then get a backstage promo from Paulie Dangerously and Rick Rude talking about the title match tonight in the main event versus Sting, the current world champion. The crowd are white hot for this one. This match feels huge. It's on free to air TV, not locked behind the pay-per-view. So can we see a title change here tonight? Can Rick Rude hold both the US and World Heavyweight titles? Just to note, the US title isn't on the line. Rick Rude cannot lose his US title. So Sting is the only one in danger of losing his title. Next, we go to a monster six-man tag. Big Van Vader versus and Cactus Jack and Larry Zbyszko versus Ron Simmons, Terry Funk, and Barry Windham. Ron Simmons gets the pin on Larry Zbyszko with a spine buster. Ron Simmons keeping himself up around the title picture. Is he going to wait and go for the world title? There's a bit of a logjam there. We know Vader's number one contender after beating Ron Simmons at the last pay-per-view. We know that Rick Rude is getting a title shot tonight. Is Ron Simmons going to stay in the world title picture, or could he opt to challenge Rick Rude for the United States title? Larry Zbyszko with a good performance. Vader with a good performance. Funker, decent. Simmons, still not great. Still not great. Terry Funk benefited from having a hot new move. Overall segment rating of 80 though, that's fantastic. Backstage, we have some arguing between Diamond Dallas Page, Diamond Stud, and Vinny Vegas. Fallout continues from their recent run of losses in the tag division. This faction may not be long for this world. So let's see what happens going forward with the Diamond Mine. We have Steve Austin once again taking the piss, making his 15th defense of the WCW World Television title, beating Firebreaker Chip. Who the fuck is Firebreaker Chip? In a 4-minute match with a pinfall by the stun gun. And what did we see last week with Arachnaman? Steve Austin and his friend Larry Zbyszko start to beat down Firebreaker Chip. But wait, Tito Santana has arrived. He's made his debut here in WCW. He has arrived to save poor Firebreaker Chip from Steve Austin and Larry Zbyszko. Somebody with a bit of credibility is stepping up into stepping up to Steve Austin. Does Steve Austin now have a legit babyface challenger for his WCW World Television title? Maybe next week on TV, maybe at Superbrawl 2. Tito Santana is here though. He's in WCW. He's signed to a 1-year contract. Decent segment. Gets an adequate rating on it. Not too bad on it. That's on his old school babyface gimmick. He is an old school babyface. Tito Santana, 38 years of age now. On to the tag team title match. Excellent match. Segment rating 78. Yeah, wrestling real good in this one. Very hot crowd at the end of the match. Steamboat and Rhodes defend their title against the iconic tag team of Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Steamboat getting the pin on Tully, and they make defense number 5 of the WCW World Tag Team titles. Ricky Steamboat carried the match in terms of in-ring performance with an 88. This guy is unbelievable. Really, in terms of work rate, our two biggest performers consistently are Steamboat and Vader. But Sting is holding his own there as well. This performance from Arn Anderson, and not bad then out of Dustin Rhodes and Tully Blanchard. Harley Race isn't happy. He's backstage with Big Van Vader. He's talking about Vader being the number one contender. He's been skipped over because Rick Rude got a pin in a 6-man against Sting last week. But Vader's the number one contender. Vader will be challenging the winner of Sting versus Rick Rude at Superbrawl 2 next month. And what happens here? Sting defeats Rick Rude in 15 minutes with a Scorpion Deathlock. He makes defense number 1 of his WCW World Heavyweight title. Rick Rude was the star performer here in this match. Overall segment rating, not great. Let's be honest, that is not great. Sting underperforms a little bit. Let's see if there's anything holding Sting back. Penalized due to the lack of an associated storyline. Okay. Okay. Other than that, oh yeah. Like just because they're not in the same storyline as each other and it's a world title match and it's the main event, we're getting penalized for it. Alright. I'll tell you what our fans think. Fuck you, fans. Um, Alright, so overall rating 79, increased their popularity in 6 regions. Decent show. A little bit let down by the main event. I expected much better there, but we got to see in the notes why it suffered a little bit. Steamboat and Rhodes defeated Arn Anderson WCW tag team titles. Anderson and Tully. Steve Austin continues his gimmick of beating the shit out of crap lads, but this time Tito Santana is there for the save. And I think another big thing coming off this show is a big win for Ron Simmons in the 6-man. That'll set up a singles match with Larry Zbyszko next week. Simmons versus Zbyszko. We know that Lex will be at the pay-per-view in a singles match. We don't know who his challenger will be yet, though. And then the Diamond Mine is continuing to struggle big time. Let's have a look. Financial report only made 30,000. That's the difference of running in that shitty little, not a shitty little arena, but running in a region where we're not as popular. Our merchandise sales are down, our ticket sales are down, but we still have made a profit. Popularity recap: Midwest, we're gone up. Great Lakes, we're gone up. Southwest, where we ran the show, we're gone up, and we're making positive moves in other regions as well. Yeah, so just some notes there. I fired Big Josh, Matt Borne. He's been wrecking my head. He openly said he doesn't like me. Last week in his match with Vader, he just downed tools. He didn't even try. Matt Borne is out. He's gone. I released him from his contract. I also released El Gigante from his contract. That guy sucked. He can go to WWE and do his crap feud with The Undertaker. Get out of here. I'm afraid to open this in case it spoils anything. Okay, I'm signing Robert Gibson as a babyface, the iconic tag team partner of Ricky Martin. So we can complete that signing. What do we have here? Larry Zbyszko says Van Hammer doesn't connect with the fans. He's a waste of time. I tend to agree with you, Larry. I tend to agree with you. We're going to let him run out his contract, though, because we can use him on pre-show matches and stuff like that. Jerry Lynn is recovered from the injury we saw him pick up last week, cracked ribs. Ultimo Dragon is feeling the effects of a recent grueling schedule. I did have him wrestle twice last night. So we'll only have him wrestle once next week. Now, let's see the show history, because WCW Power Hour this week was quite a noteworthy show. We had Brian Pillman and Ultimo Dragon defeating the Young Pistols to win the WCW United States Tag Team titles. So we've got new Tag Team US champions in Pillman and Dragon. Ricky Martin and Tommy Rich debuted new gimmicks. So we're going to see if that helped them. Shane Douglas defeats El Gigante. That's El Gigante's last match with the company. He is gone. And so let's check in on Ricky Martin. Ricky Martin. Yes, he's back to neutral. Okay, that's good. His performance is going to get better. Tommy Rich now has warm momentum. So the gimmick changes have worked. Let's see the gimmick details. Rating of great. Okay, Ricky Martin. Gimmick details. Rating of very good. Okay, right. These lads' performances now should increase dramatically. They got a good win, so we might even put them in a US tag title match against Ultimo Dragon and Brian Pillman. I want to see if that victory helped Ultimo Dragon's popularity. Not really. That's a bit sad. Let's see how Lord Steven Regal's popularity is increasing. Yeah, monster increases. Look at that. Let's track that. That's what he was when he came to our company. His popularity. And now, yeah. So this is working. We may be able to still considered unimportant. So the thing there is, if someone's considered unimportant, you can't put them in TV matches over a certain length. and you can't put them in TV matches with someone else who's also important. You can, but the segment is going to just die a death and kill the crowd. The blue blood gimmick is poor, so what we're going to do is we're not going to change the gimmick. We're just going to get him to tweak it slightly. We're going to ask him to tweak his blue blood gimmick slightly to see if he can get it over. Now, it has been improving. It was very poor when he came in first. He's getting better at it. Okay, I'll see you guys next week for the next episode. Well, not next week. You know what I mean. In game next week for the next episode of World Championship Wrestling Television. I know we're coming off the back of a big one, but here is where we really start to build Superbrawl. We've got 4 weeks now of Superbrawl, which is more of a traditional pay-per-view build. Last night's show was a really good show, but it felt like a pit stop. WWE are announcing, WWF are announcing that Hulk Hogan, Nature Boy Ric Flair, is going to be one of the main storylines over the coming months. We should keep an eye on that because if we look at their roster, WWE, check out their roster. If we look here, Ric Flair is one of the biggest stars in their company, fourth most popular, hugely popular. However, his contract is up in September. That's a guy I will be making a play for. I want to bring Rick back. Stats insane. Look at that psychology. 99, basics 100. We want to bring Rick back home in the latter half of 92. Let's keep an eye on how that storyline goes. Let's see Hulk Hogan's popularity. I'd say this is insane. Jesus. Everywhere 90s. Jesus. Wow. We are live, baby, in the great state of Mississippi for another episode of World Championship Wrestling. Tonight is the night, let me tell you, tonight is the night where a couple of key pieces to this roster will debut. 2 new signings that I am incredibly excited for in the future. As you can see, I've got one screen here, and I've got you lovely people right here. You may notice that I've morphed my background. It's my last recording session. I addressed this on All Elite Morro. The office is undergoing some renovations. I actually think I addressed this on episode 1 of the WCW 1992 Journey. You could see kind of the background set changing up. Well, I've moved here to a different office for a couple of days. Probably actually could be, I don't know how long it's going to be. But this background's pretty cool. Look, I got some Muhammad Ali stuff up there behind me. I got James Dean. I got the Beatles and Muhammad Ali. Let's have a look over there. The Beatles, Muhammad Ali. Ali the greatest. Ali over there. 2 more pictures along with James Dean. So I'm going to put that here for now. If it's weird that I seem to be looking miles off camera, that's where the recording is taking place. On that screen. On this screen is where the game is. So it's a bit of a disconnect to me jumping around. Leave a comment down below. But tell me what you think of the new space. For now, I actually think the sound acoustically is better in here as well. But yeah, we'll persist with this setup. It's not an ideal setup. It's not as comfortable as the other place. It's not as secluded. But it'll do until I get the office the way I want it to be. I'll probably record 2 or 3 episodes from this place and a couple of All Elite Morros, which takes place 7:30 Monday night on YouTube. If you haven't already checked out, if you're new to this, if you've just checked in for you've seen some booking thing happening on WCW 1992 and you're a fan of the game, TEW 9, Total Extreme Wrestling 9, jump over to YouTube on a Monday night at 7:30 where we talk about, review, analyze what's happening in the wrestling world at the minute. But yeah, here we have a pre-show match. We have 10,000 people in the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. 10,000, that's our biggest show for a TV taping yet. We did WCW Power Hour. I'll go through the results afterwards, but there's one important thing to note. The Diamond Stud picked up a big win on WCW Power Hour, and the Diamond Mine of DDP, Vinny Vegas, and the Diamond Stud had a little bit of an extraordinary general meeting after the match where they decided tonight it wouldn't be the Diamond Stud teaming with Vinny Vegas on the main show. It would be Diamond Dallas Page coming back from his injury. It was a broken jaw, I think he had, that he would team with Vinny Vegas. The tag team of the Diamond Stud and Vinny Vegas hasn't been working out. It's been causing a lot of internal strife within the faction. Vinny Vegas made his thoughts known on how the faction were operating. So there's a bit of tension going into their match on the main card tonight. Uh, we also got just a couple of awesome things happening. We've fewer segments and fewer matches, longer matches. So I'm hoping we have a few bangers on WCW Saturday Night TV, not live, pre-taped from Mississippi Coast Coliseum with 10,000 people in attendance. So we've Shane Douglas. We're giving Al Snow a tryout match here. He is improving. He's a 43. Someone we might sign in the future. Shane Douglas not really performing to the extent I hoped he would. Partially his gimmick. We'll look at his gimmick afterwards. I'll show you how that works as well. Because we've seen already the success of changing Tommy Rich and Ricky Martin, doing something with their gimmicks. So we'll have a look at Shane Douglas. It's a franchise player gimmick. I want it to be deadly. And then we brought in Greg Valentine for a little tryout. He was recently released by WWE. Terry Funk at the moment is actually suffering from a poor gimmick as well. No, he didn't get penalised for it. That's a good sign. Maybe this match got him out of his. He was just a bit cold with the fans, but he's not been penalised for it. So he either has an attribute that removes that, or this win has shocked the coldness off him. It's a pretty good match, pre-show, 67, really good match. I was unsure of how Greg Valentine would perform because I used him on the pre-show of WCW Power Hour as well, and he had a much worse rating than this. But him and Terry here put on a very good match. Maybe we could run this match on TV in the future. Bring in Greg Valentine for a few. I don't want to sign him full time. He's in his 40s. He is, as we've seen here, declining physical ability and penalised for physical condition. So he is firmly on the decline. It's 1992. It's way past Greg's best. But Greg, at his best, was a fucking awesome. And then the last pre-show match we seen last week, we signed Robert Gibson. I'm going to do some stuff with him. His old school face gimmick here has gotten over very good. He's putting a good performance of 58. Let's see if there's any physical condition stuff with him. Yeah, he is penalised, but he's still probably good enough to go on TV. Tom Nash is just a jobber I brought in. Yeah, so some good stuff there. And then we'll get into the main show. Oh no, we have another pre-show match. I actually booked a load of pre-show matches for this. The Young Pistols have been getting beat a lot recently on WCW Power Hour. I wanted to get a couple of wins. So there'll be Tommy Lane, another guy I was giving a tryout to. Tommy seems to be past his best. He's pretty young. Stamina's poor, physical condition, inconsistency. PN News has low morale. PN, I understand why. It's because I keep beating you. Do you know what I'm going to do? I think I know who PN News is, but I'm unsure. Check it up on my phone. I'm not even going to edit this out. We're going to learn together who PN News was. Who was PN News? That was his main gimmick. Who else did he play? I've seen him. I've seen him in some professional wrestling career. WCW. No, I don't know where I've seen this guy. He wrestled in British wrestling up to 2016. He was in ECW in 99. That is probably where I've seen him. November to Remember. He was part of a faction called Da Baddies with Spanish Angel Tony DeVito and Vito La Grasso. Vito, good friend of Chaz Beefington traveled the roads of wrestling with Chaz Beef. Did Big Vito. Had some words of not so much wisdom for Bret Hart recently. And then the last pre-show match again, Steven Regal is starting to pop. Starting to pop. Things are going well for him. Still penalised for a poor gimmick, but he's putting in TV-ready performances. We just need his popularity to get there with his performance. We'll check that after the show as well. Into the main show. Starts with Paulie Dangerously, Rick Rude, Steve Austin arriving to the arena. As they walk into the arena, they cut a promo on Tito Santana. Steve Austin is livid that Santana showed up and spoiled his party last week. Austin in recent weeks has been beating the shit out of jobbers. We've seen Arachnaman getting written off TV. He murdered Arachnaman. The man behind the mask, Brad Armstrong, will we ever see him again? It's so hard to know. Opening match of the night, we have the Steiner brothers once again beating a different variety of the Diamond Mine, this time in Vinny Vegas and Diamond Dallas Page. Very good match, 71 performance. Scott Steiner was excellent in this match. DDP was fine. Vinny Vegas wasn't great. But yeah, overall, a very good opener. 7 minutes, Scott Steiner pinned Diamond Dallas Page. I wonder how Vinny Vegas is going to feel about that. Oh my God. Um, right, yeah, so Vinny Vegas attacks Diamond Dallas Page before the Diamond Stud makes the save. We're going to do a couple of changes here. We're turning Diamond Dallas Page face, a complete success. DDP is a face. We're turning the Diamond Stud face. It was a complete success. So we have two face turns in this segment. Diamond Dallas Page has turned face. The Diamond Stud has turned face. Vinny Vegas remains a heel. Will we see future singles matches between these two? Will Diamond Dallas Page and Diamond Stud stick together, or will they go their separate ways? Yeah, decent 53. Obviously, it was a fighting based segment because of the attack. I probably could have structured this a little bit differently to have some words first, maybe almost have it as 2 3 minute segments. That seemed to hurt it, so that's something to think about going forward. Crowd got bored. Okay, that's something to think about going forward, how we structure these segments. There is a really cool thing in this about how you can break segments up into pieces. So I might have a look at that. Might have helped the overall rating. But main thing to come out of this is DDP is a face, the Diamond Stud is a face, Vinny Vegas remains a heel. We got Ron Simmons going over Larry Zbyszko in a decent match in 9 minutes. Ron Simmons wins with the Spinebuster. Ron is on a run of wins at the minute since he lost to Vader at the pay-per-view, where we are. Zbyszko, lack of an so not everything should be part of the storyline. This is nonsense. And here we have Vader's not here tonight. Vader's took a night off to do a match in New Japan. We have an excellent segment of a promo between Harley Race and Sting, building up the Sting and Vader match for Superbrawl 2 coming up in 3 weeks after this show. And then we have a typical 6-man match. Liger sustained a broken toe. We've seen various different kind of combinations of this in recent weeks. Pillman is a great performance. Ultimate Dragon does okay. Liger's fantastic. Regal, really good performance in this. It's funny, Regal actually is under the weight limit for junior heavyweight, so that is a possibility. We could put Regal in a match with Liger for the junior heavyweight title. I don't suspect he'll stay under that 225 limit for long, but at the minute in 1992 February, technically Lord Steven Regal could be our junior heavyweight champion. Jerry Lynn in here as well. Broken toe shouldn't be out for too long anyway. In a decent match then, the Dangerous Alliance of Steve Austin and Rick Rude defeated Z-Man and Van Hammer. Z-Man Tom Zink, I don't know who Van Hammer is. Rick Rude was head and shoulders above everyone else. He put in a performance of 85. That is sensational. Steve Austin was 75. His performances have skyrocketed in recent weeks. Remember, I was complaining about him having 58s. I think that was in the last episode. He's been pretty solid all of this episode. But Steve Austin has put in major improvements. He's probably getting a bonus now for high morale, star quality. He got great at his gimmick and good momentum. Yeah, the momentum is really helping him. But yeah, see then, I suppose Van Hammer and Z-Man pulled the segment down. And then we go into a major brawl between Steve Austin and Tito Santana. They brawl out into the crowd, building their match for the Super Brawl 2 pay-per-view. That's where that TV title match is going to take place. Segment round 69. Tito was a bit underwhelming in it. Tito comes from a different era. These kind of angles and segments don't suit him massively. And then we get into our main event of the evening. Sting, Steamboat and Rhodes. Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson wanted a rematch for the tag team titles. They're not getting it. Steamboat submits beautiful Bobby Eaton. These members of the Dangerous Alliance had to come up with a win here in order to get another shot at tag team titles, but they're not getting a shot at tag team titles. They lost. Deal with it. Kind of disappointed with Sting's performances mid 70s. When you look at Steamboat putting in 89s and Rick Rude earlier on with an 85, and even Austin with higher performances than Sting's. But I suppose Sting has a major star quality. Oh yeah, like he has a lot of bonuses there. The legendary gimmick one has it for Ricky Steamboat that really boosts his performances. So that should take us off the show. That's very typical to, oh, wait, just a minute. The best tag team in World Wrestling has arrived. Steve Williams, Terry Gordy, the Miracle Violence Connection are here and they're staring down. There's no words exchanged. They walk to the ring. They stare down with the tag team champions Dusty Rhodes and Ricky Steamboat. We're talking about the Miracle Violence Connection here. Steve Williams, Dr. Death, Terry Gordy, former Triple Crown champion Terry Gordy. The current, would you believe this? These guys are the current All Japan Pro Wrestling Unified World Tag Team Champions. Four-time Unified World Tag Team Champions in All Japan. They are the current two-time Real World Tag League winners. They won the Real World Tag League in 1990. They won the Real World Tag League in 1991, beating Misawa and Kawada in that legendary final. So this is, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, the best tag team in World Wrestling today, facing off against the second best tag team in World Wrestling today. And I suspect this is a match we might see at Super Brawl 2 for WCW World Heavyweight Tag Team titles. I am tremendously excited. Steve Williams, I had to pay him serious money to get him. The guy is in his physical peak. He has been on a tear in All Japan. Terry Gordy only lost. Terry Gordy never actually lost the All Japan Pro Wrestling Triple Crown title, which is their top title. He never lost that title. He was stripped of the title. You can Google why. He had some drug issues in Japan. He was stripped of the title, so he never lost the title by pinfall or submission. They're the current tag champions. These are two of the best possible signings we could make in 1992. I paid these guys mega money. They still have some time left on their All Japan contracts. They don't fully sign for us for the next 2 weeks, but by the time Super Brawl rolls around, they'll be exclusively contracted to World Championship Wrestling. I feel like this is my first major coup in terms of signings and contracts as the booker of World Championship Wrestling. And I think these are two guys that we can build a lot of the company, particularly the tag division, around for the next few years. However, these could be single stars as well. So we're going to finish this. So this is massive. This is the biggest thing that's happened, including, I think, Sting beating Lex Luger. This is the biggest shift we could have. This is putting this company heading in a very certain direction stylistically. And
we're going to be a wrestling heavy company with a lot of gimmicks thrown in there as well. Not just gimmicks, but um, some angles. Like we want our angles to be meaningful. We don't want 40 angles a show, but we want 4 or 5 decent segments and angles, like 1, 2 angles, a few interviews, a few promos. But we don't want to be relying on outlandish angles. We want the focus of this, to be the work that takes place in the ring. That's the kind of booker I am. When I finish this show, see where we are, and look, 8-3 overall round. Excellent score with a fantastic main event. Probably one of the best matches we've had since I've taken over the booking. Increased popularity in 9 regions. Show benefited from having a wide selection of angles. Let's see the injury review. Liger's only out for 6 days. That's grand. Broken toe. He's going to toughen out after that. We're back up into major profit there, 140k profit. You know, we went to Arizona last week. We tried it out, trying to increase our popularity in a few different regions. It worked in terms of what we went there for, is the popularity, but we did have low profit from the show. We still made a profit, but not like the 140k. That's our most profitable TV night yet. Popularity that has really helped us out across all the regions. Obviously, Puerto Rico and Hawaii, we're not going to get much more popular in those regions unless I think we get a better TV contract. But you know, New York there, the tri-state has increased, the mid south, Texas and there has increased, and we've got incremental increases in all of these, so that's good. Right, so an absolutely massive night for World Championship Wrestling. Seen the debut of the Miracle Violence Connection, really one of the greatest tag teams, in my opinion, of all time. IRL, I think they might be a top 5 tag team ever in the history of professional wrestling. Um, top 10. Look, I don't know. I'm not making a list here, but just off the top of my head, they're one of my favorite tag teams ever to watch. Loads of stuff on YouTube. In fact, the Real World Tag League final from '91 versus Kawada and Misawa is on Daily Motion. Watched that recently, actually. Diamond Dallas Page fully fit. Liger injured, we knew that. Ultimo Dragon wants time to heal. Rick Rude's contract is ending, and this is worrying. I have offered him a new contract. This is a contract I'm offering him. I'm offering him 2 years, $45,000 per month for unlimited appearances, 35% of the merchandise sales. It will go into his pocket, and I'm covering his travel costs. We'll jump into his profile there because he's fantastic. He's still in great physical condition. If we're looking at, let's get in, let's go to our roster page. Rick Rude. Scroll down there, Rick. Where are you? Where are you, Rick? Like, look at this. His stats are excellent. Psychology 84, technical 70, is brawling 62 is good. The basics 90. This guy consistency 91. Star quality 92. Sex appeal 99. Good man, Rick. Get those hips going, baby. Charisma, microphone, like he could be a potential world champion for us. Popularity, he's probably as popular as Sting. Where's Sting? He's almost as popular as Sting. Now, outside of America, Sting seems no, no. This guy is across the board almost as popular as Sting worldwide. He could really be a top guy. Wow. Let's get Ricky Steamboat in on this, because Steamboat's button, like Steamboat's stats. Yeah, charisma is not as high as Rick Rude's. Star quality is not as high. Microphone isn't as high. But his basics and his selling are 100. His stamina is 100. He's still in unbelievable physical condition for 38. Psychology incredible. Technicals incredible. Just like, jeez, this guy is so good. Um, he was one half the male tag team of the year in 1978. He was voted male young wrestler of the year in 1977. 15 years after that, but he is still performing at the highest level. He's another guy who could be the top guy in our company. Let's look at the Big Van Vader contract situation. Okay, so Big Van Vader, right? He works for 3 companies: New Japan, WCW, and CWA, in that order of priority. Okay, if we look at his popularity, he's tremendously popular in Japan. Now, the thing about that is when you negotiate someone's contract, we're paying them 1,200 per show. We only have him a handshake deal. WWE could come in at any stage and offer him a contract. What kind of contract does he have with New Japan? So if we go to New Japan, third most popular company in the world, where's Big Van Vader here? It's not really. Oh no, he's the second most popular guy in the roster. Um, it's a written contract and it expires in 684 days. Now it's written, but it's not exclusive. So technically, we could offer him an exclusive contract. However, at the minute, the estimated cost was 36,700 a month. If we're going exclusive contract, we have to pay him that per month. We can't pay him per show. That it doesn't work that way, right? The only issue I have is we're not going to get him for 36,000 because New Japan are going to offer him an exclusive contract as well. And they're going to offer him a contract based on his popularity of being 77s across the board. So we're going to end up paying something like what we've offered Rick Rude. Because we're paying Rick Rude for popularity in his 70s. We've offered him 45,000. So that's something to think about. That is something to think about. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. Should I break the bank for Big Van Vader? Still in tremendous condition. Look at his match history, puts on great performances. Jesus. His New Japan performances are fucking incredible. Popularity helps that, like he has an 89 with Ricky Choshu. If we go to our home screen, there's actually a really cool thing here. See this top 100s? Holly the Butcher. Fuck you. Fuck you, Abdullah. I'm actually going to give Jody Hamilton a little bonus. Let's give you 10k, Jody. Because I fired him off the booking team. He wasn't happy about it. Still a 9 to 10k made no difference. If we go to the top 100, so you can see cool things here. Your top 100 events. That's top 100 matches. So, yeah, that 6-man we did on TV this week was the second best match we've had under my booking. And it was a 6-man again with a similar lineup. Was the best match in company history. That was back in January. What I think we need to look at here is staples. We have a little bit of work to do here because one thing we've seen is the Diamond Mine. They broke up, so we're going to make them inactive. The Dangerous Alliance, we actually have to modify this because we need to add Holly. Holly has been added to Paulie Dangerously's Dangerous Alliance. Banger show of WCW TV lined up here tonight. Want to see not the Diamond Stud anymore. Big Scott Hall in action. We have another promo between Harley Race and Sting. Tito Santana makes his in-ring debut in the opener against a beautiful Bobby Eaton. Barry Windham and Tully. That should be a banger match. Let's see what happens. A little pre-show match here. Ricky Martin and Tommy Rich defeat Joe Cruz and Shane Helms, couple of local talent that I brought in for the night on a little tryout. Joe Cruz performed all right. Tommy Rich is not performing. Fuck you, Tommy. Another pre-show match, the Z-Man versus Boris Zukov. I brought in Boris. He's got decent popularity, decent stats, but he was shite in this match, so we probably won't be bringing him back. Just trying to, when I go to different places, we're in Washington, D.C. tonight. We have 9,110 people. Thought we'd have more, actually. Maybe there's a lack of star power advertised for the show. Into the opener. Oh, this was a cracker. Tito with a 55, but a good match overall. 71, we'll take that. Got the crowd hotter. Our commentary team is starting to hum now. They've got more experience together. Did they get a bonus for that? Good commentary. So our commentary team is at least adequate experience together now. That's a good thing. Then we have in the ring promo between Sting and Harley Race. But Vader comes from nowhere and attacks Sting from behind, leaving Sting laying. This is only 3 weeks out now from their major world title match that's taking place at Superbrawl 2. As we know, Vader was in New Japan last week. Sting brought out Harley Race to see if Vader was even going to show up for their world title match. They was spending more time in Japan. Vader surprised him from behind, lays out Sting. This match is coming up very, very soon at one of our biggest pay-per-views of the year. And we get Brian Pillman, who is the number one contender for the junior heavyweight title, held by his friend, Jushin Thunder Liger. These two went all out. I told them to go out there and steal the show. They put on a very good match. Terence Taylor lost the last pay-per-view in a shot at the junior heavyweight title. And now we have an interview backstage from Vinny Vegas after his actions last week, attacking Diamond Dallas Page and the Diamond Stud. And this leads into Big Scott Hall, who's dropped the Diamond Stud gimmick. He is now Big Scott Hall going over Shane Douglas. Not a good match. These two have poor chemistry. 52 overall, not great. He won with the Diamond Death Drop. Let's see what... Lots of bonuses there for such a shit match. Well, Douglas penalised for a poor gimmick. It doesn't seem to be improving. I did a little tweak on it as well. Scott Hall's only penalty was inconsistency. Yeah, I was really hoping to kind of get behind Scott Hall with a push, but he's going to have to put in better performances than this. This is why we turned him face, because the face side of our roster is weak. And we need some guys to kind of step up. There isn't much in terms of free agency out there. So this is worrying because I was really dependent on Scott Hall performing in order to get behind him with a push. I kind of had designs on him, maybe even challenging Steve Austin or Tito Santana for the TV title pretty soon. Do we get a backstage promo? This way I put this there. I want to start getting guys the idea of linking Austin, Santana, and Scott Hall. But coming out with Scott Hall match, we get a Steve Austin promo. Cutting a promo on Tito Santana, we get Rick Rude cutting a promo on how there isn't anybody that's stepping up to face him in the US title division. And he wants somebody to come out next week and challenge him for Superbrawl because he wants to be on the pay-per-view. He wants to defend his title at Superbrawl. He doesn't see any viable contenders. So he's invited the roster to next week. Somebody show up, meet in the middle of the ring, challenge him for the US title. We were kind of wondering, could it be Ron Simmons? Is he going to move into that division away from the world title division? Or does Ron Simmons still have designs on the world title? Now we have a singles match with Barry Windham and Tully Blanchard. This is super disappointing. Super disappointing match. Only a 58. Barry Windham with a 59 in ring. This is another guy I'm hoping to get behind with a push. And it's just not happening. Inconsistency and physical condition. That's disappointing. And then we get Arn and Tully jumping and beating down Barry Windham after Barry picked up the victory over Tully Blanchard. And I can tell you, backstage, Tully complained about the outcome of that match. Tully complained about having to eat a pin to Barry Windham. I wanted to put Barry over because, again, he's a babyface. He's normally very good, but he's not really showing it here. Now we have the Miracle Violence Connection making their in-ring debut. This wasn't a match. This was a murder. Terry Gordy and Steve Williams absolutely trounced Todd Champion and Firebreaker Chip. A match like this is never going to do a decent segment, right? And I knew that, but this is designed at highlighting the violence of the Miracle Violence Connection. How credible a threat these two are to the tag division. Also, it's important to note that Steve Williams' contract is up with All Japan, and he left the company without dropping the tag team titles. So this tag team is a tag team that's been undefeated for a pretty long period of time. They're coming in here to challenge our World Tag Team Champions, Ricky Steamboat and Dustin Rhodes, at Super Brawl 2. Here they are just putting on a performance of beating the ever-loving shit out of Todd Champion and Firebreaker Chip, aka the WCW Patriots. We cut to a short segment backstage where we see Ricky Steamboat and Dustin Rhodes conversing with each other after having watched the number one contenders for their titles. Not technically the number one contenders, because technically the number one contenders we've seen on a very good run recently of Scott and Rick Steiner, who had an easy win on Power Hour earlier in the night, the B show. We'll go through the results of that after the show. But there might be a certain trepidation between Dustin Rhodes and Ricky Steamboat watching Steve Williams and Terry Gordy absolutely destroy the WCW Patriots. Into tonight's main event, we get Terry Funk and Ron Simmons versus Cactus Jack and Vinny Vegas. Very good match. Terry Funk submits Vinny Vegas after Diamond Dallas Page not interferes but distracts Vinny Vegas. A little glitch down here, but I'll worry about that afterwards. That's just probably clean up something. But yeah, very good match overall. Terry Funk performed excellently. Cactus Jack was good. Ron Simmons good. Vinny Vegas isn't quite there yet, but interestingly to note, he's putting on a better performance than Big Scott Hall. Now we know Scott Hall and Douglas didn't have good chemistry. So let's see the overall rating 78. We increased our popularity in 6 regions. Decent show overall. I think the big kind of talking points coming out of it is Vader returning from Japan to jump Sting from behind, leaving him laying. Austin and Tito Santana seem to be on a collision course for the TV title at Superbrawl 2. Anderson and Blanchard have beaten down Barry Windham. What's that going to mean? Is that leading to something at the pay-per-view? The Miracle of Violence Connection have established themselves as a major threat to Rhodes's and Steamboat's titles. And Terry Funk and Cactus Jack, we know they're going into a street fight at the pay-per-view. We don't know what Ron Simmons is doing yet. Is Vinny Vegas going to be going up against DDP? Is Vinny Vegas going to be going up against possibly Big Scott Hall, his former tag team partner? All will be revealed. See the financial report: 110k profit, 17 million in the bank. Popularity recap: yeah, we didn't hit any of the major regions, Southeast, Mid-Atlantic or Mid-South, but the other regions, Midwest is creeping up there. We may be potentially able to run shows there. We did try Southwest. We only got 5,000 in attendance there 2 weeks ago. But Tri-State has such a big not popularity. Our popularity isn't super high there, but it's such a big market and such a big population that we might actually be able to draw a good house there, even with a lower popularity. But we'll have a look at the Midwest as somewhere we might run shows. Southwest, we probably want to get that to 70 before we go back there. Probably just the Tri-State is too soon for that. We need to get that a bit up. Just keep on putting on good shows and trusting our TV deal with TBS. Now, I am in contract negotiations with a top level manager, someone excellent on the microphone. I want to bring them in to manage the Miracle Violence Connection, because the thing about Williams and Gordy is they're incredible in-ring performers. They also have such unique looks, but they don't have really the mic skills for me to be really to push them at the top. I'm bringing in Paul Orndorff on a one-night deal. You'll see why next week. This is who I'm negotiating with. I'm negotiating with Gary Hart. If you don't know Gary Hart's one of the best managers of the 80s. 32 years experience. 50 years of age though, so he's still young. It's mad. He was only 50 then, and he's not a guy we saw a tremendous amount of in 90s wrestling. But we look down there, microphone skills 88, acting 87, charisma 81. This guy is the perfect manager for the Miracle Violence Connection. We can also use him as a road agent, which is perfect because psychology is 84, experience and reputation are 100 and 100. He'd be a fucking excellent road agent for us as well. So we're looking at bringing in a Gary Hart in order to manage the Miracle Violence Connection. I keep getting these updates about Haku because I did think of bringing him in before. He's only on a handshake deal with WWF, so he's a guy I could actually poach. Now, this does worry me. He's very minor negative impact, so I suppose it's not too bad. Stats are decent. Psychology is low. But it is a lad who could. But my worry is he's another heel, and it's faces we really need to be going after. What kind of contractor? Nikita Koloff is technically contracted to us. He's on a handshake deal that expires 137 days. I need to decide what to do with him. He took some time off for personal reasons. Let's see what the results of Power Hour were. So we had Larry Zabisco going over Tom Zenk. We had Vinny Vegas defeated Jumpin' Joey Maggs, and then DDP stormed the ring. Vegas got the hell out of there. DDP challenged Vegas to a match. He hasn't got a response. We had a six-man tag of Tito Santana, Brian Pillman, and Ultimo Dragon, defeating Jerry Lynn, Steve Armstrong, and Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. We had a backstage interview with Tito Santana. We had the Steiner brothers winning a squash match against Joe Cruz and Shane Helms, and then the Steiner brothers gave a promo afterwards about how they feel that with the arrival of the Miracle Violence Connection, they've been overlooked in the tag division. Lord Stephen Regal defeated Boris Zukov on the pre-show, DDP over Pat Rose, Terence Taylor over the Italian Stallion, and Van Hammer over George South, and then Shane Douglas over Johnny B. Bad. Let's have a look at Shane Douglas. I'm worried about his progression. His gimmick, tweaked it already. It's too See, I've tweaked it already and it's too soon to tweak it again. I'm going to give him another couple of weeks to see if he can figure out why this gimmick isn't working. Let's have a look at Terry Funk as well, because Terry Funk has cooled momentum. Did I tweak his gimmick? Yeah, I tweaked his gimmick. We need to get his momentum back on track because he's gone into a major match at the pay-per-view Street Fighters. So I can't understand how Terry Funk would have cold momentum in WCW in 1992. Maybe he's just overexposed there. He spent a lot of time in the territory, as they say. His skills are just so incredible for his age. He's still putting on performances there. Let's look at his match history. He's in a 76 rated match there where he got a 76 while his momentum is cool. So, if we could get his momentum hot, I think his performances would be in the 80s. At 52 years of age, it's insane. The only guys we're seeing in the 80s, performance-wise, at the minute, are Rick Rude and Ricky Steamboat, who are our two best workers. Sting isn't putting in 80s. Van Vader's putting in 80s, in fairness. But yes, it's like Vader, Sting, Vader, Steamboat, and Rude are the only guys putting in performances on the level that Terry Funk is, and he's doing that while he has cold momentum. Let's do a little check on the creative. This is an interesting screen. I showed it back in episode 0. We haven't checked in since. So our franchise players at the minute, when we checked in last time, was just Sting. This time, Rick Rude and Ricky Steamboat have been added to that. These are the guys who are the big draws for our company. In terms of next big things, we have Liger, Austin, Cactus Jack, and Jumpin' Joey Maggs. Maybe we're overlooking Jumpin' Joey Maggs as having potential. No, look, he's not great at the minute, but he's very, very young. He's a protege of Harley Race. That's always a good sign. His basics are decent. He's a lot of work to do. Yeah, he's not going to improve that much because his experience is already past 50. So, yeah, I don't know. The screen is telling me that Jumpin' Joey Maggs is the next big thing. But the stats are telling me otherwise. I see what the hot prospects are. Liger, Pillman, Austin, Regal, and Rhodes. I'm hoping... Okay, Regal is getting there in terms of popularity. If we look at that, this is what he was when he came in. This is where he's at now. Probably even slightly higher than this. Yeah, even significantly higher. This is tracked as the start of the month. Look, if we just take the Great Lakes there alone, start of the month he was on 24, he's now on 29. Our home regions, where's our home region? Southeast, 44. Even the start of the month he was on 39. He's gaining popularity extremely fast. Is he still seen as unimportant in the eyes of the fans? Look, that's a great lineup of hot prospects. That's a future you could build a company around. We haven't used Dusty a lot, but on the mic, Rick Rude, Paul E., Sting, and Aaron Anderson, 3 of which are in the same faction. These are the guys on the mic that we can depend on. Our showstoppers, so the in-ring talent we can depend on: Liger, Sting, Steamboat, Pillman, and Rude. Pillman is getting a push. Everyone there is getting a push. Then week to week guys who you can just trust to put on very good matches. Anderson, Sting, Steamboat, Rude, and Beautiful Bobby Eaton, who are the hottest guys in the company. Steamboat, Rude, Austin Liger, and Lex Luger. Such good momentum, but he just won't sign a new contract. I wonder can if I try now. Then Terry Funk, we know he's not hot. Hidden gems then are guys who are on the free agency. We've got Sean Marley down there, aka Val Venus. I don't like that guy in real life or in the game. Alexander the Great, he looks familiar, not sure who it is. Obviously, Raven is there. Raven is 27 years of age already. He's probably getting towards a point in his career where we should bring him in. Bygone Bad. Sure, I know who that is as well. And Flex Lavender. Look at this guy, straight out of the A's. Let's have a look at Raven, what his skills are at. Like, tremendous microphone, great acting, great star quality, great charisma. Decent stats, hardcore is amazing, obviously brawling good, technical's okay. Decent psychology for his experience level. He'll improve slightly. Basics are low, that's worrying. Basics and selling are so important at putting on decent matches. But I think he is a guy that we will want to bring in at some stage. I just don't know if he's ready for prime time yet. Yeah, look, if we look at the matches he's putting on in the NWA, they're not great. Where's he based? He's based in the southeast. Do you know what we'll do? Next time we're in our home territory of the southeast, we're doing a show down around Florida, we will bring him in for a tryout on the pre-show. I can promise you that, brother. That's kind of a roster update of where we are. Another thing we can do here is we go to our roster screen, click search, and go minimum momentum at warm. That would show us everybody whose momentum is greater than warm. We can't like sort it, but these are all the guys whose momentum is greater than warm. I've done that. Look, I've done it. He's pissed at me. Aaron Anderson, Barry Windham's very hot. Big Scott hot. I'd like to get Vaders up a bit. Might have him squash someone next week. I'd like to get Cactus Jack up to very warm at least. Dustin Rhodes is red hot. Harley Race managing Vader's red hot. Jimmy's warm. Liger's white hot. That's the highest you can be. That means this guy is getting tremendous bonuses in matches. We've seen that his match quality has been very, very good. Yeah, look across the board, but in New Japan and for us in WCW, he's putting on very good matches on a regular basis. Larry Zbyszko's warm. Lex Luger's red hot. He's very happy at the moment. Why is he very happy? I gave him a massive bonus a while ago. Few morale details. Yeah, he's happy at it's these things are before I came in there. He's very happy at the bonuses I gave him. That was to try and get him to sign a new contract. He still didn't do it. Michael Hayes. I haven't used Michael Hayes or Jimmy Garvin on TV a whole lot recently. I feel like I kind of overused them in the tag matches with the Steiners, but I'm going to filter them back in. I have a plan for them and another tag team for the next pay-per-view cycle. Use this guy in one match in a pre-show, and he somehow has warm momentum. Paul E, very hot. He's irritated because he's not on the booking committee. Ricky Martin, he went from cold to warm just by a gimmick change, but I don't want to change. I don't want to change Terry Funk's gimmick. I like his gimmick. Rick Rude, white hot, no surprise there. Steiner, Steamboat, yeah. Ron is very warm. Scotty. Douglas, warm momentum for a guy who has a poor gimmick. It's a weird one. Steve Austin is white hot. He's been great on TV, and his performances in ring have increased dramatically. But really, it's in the segments on the mic with Paulie and with Rick Rude that he is thriving. It's good that Steve Williams has made 2 appearances, one a face-off with the World Tag Team Champions, and one a squash match, and he already has warm momentum. Sting red hot. Terry Taylor's warm, despite the fact I beat him in 6-man's most week. Terry Gordy again, that's good. Tommy Rich has gone to warm. Tito's warm now. The Austin match. Jesse Smothers, another guy who gets beaten a lot in 6-man's. I thought he was upset with the booking of the match with Barry Windham. Yeah, that was that match there. But he is generally happy overall. So that's good. But his War Momentum. So these are the guys in the roster of War Momentum. Let's change it around and just see if there's anyone else who has Cold Momentum. Min. He's called Maximum Good. JYD, Terry Funk. This one is killing me because he's performing well. He's in good matches, so I don't know why I can't figure it out. Van Hammer. Vinny Vegas has cool momentum. I don't know how that happened. He hasn't been in many good. He has been in enough good matches. He has lost a lot of matches. Look, now that he's gone heel on his own, he's going to start winning a lot of matches on Power Hour. We are back with an absolutely stacked episode of WCW television. A lot went down on Power Hour actually before this. Vinny Vegas came out in Power Hour in an interview backstage. He said he's not going to fight Diamond Dallas Page at the pay-per-view. He has no interest in giving Diamond Dallas Page the opportunity to fight on a pay-per-view. He wants to fight him in the opener of tonight's show. And you know what? As the booker, I said, okay, let's book the match. If Diamond Dallas Page wins, they're going to have the rematch at the pay-per-view. Diamond Dallas Page will get his pay-per-view spot. If Vinny Vegas wins, Vinny Vegas goes to the pay-per-view against a different opponent. DDP will be left off the pay-per-view. That's from the pre-show, not the pre-show. Keep calling it the pre-show. The B show. That's from the B show that aired earlier on. We also had an interview with Terry Funk where he's coming to the arena. He's looking for Cactus Jack. All he wants to do is fight. He said he'll find Cactus Jack at some stage, anywhere, in the ring, backstage. They're going to have a fight tonight. We know Sting is injured. Sting is at home. He got beaten down badly. It's kayfabe injury. He got beaten down badly by Big Van Vader last week. Big Van Vader has issued a challenge to Junkyard Dog. He wants to warm himself up for his world title fight in 2 weeks' time at the pay-per-view against the World Heavyweight Champion Sting. Ron Simmons has asked for some interview time tonight. He wants to provide clarity of whether he is going to take on Rick Rude at the pay-per-view. So we have given Ron Simmons the opportunity, but Rick Rude said he's coming to the ring tonight. He's calling out the roster. He's going to see who wants to face him for the US title at the pay-per-view. Coming up in 2 weeks, Superbrawl 2. So into the pre-show, Larry Zbyszko beats Marcus Alexander Bagwell, aka Buff Bagwell. Buff Bagwell put on a pretty decent performance here for a guy with his level of experience. Larry Zbyszko still putting on very solid performances. On the pre-show, Steamboat and Rhodes beat the Young Pistols in a non-title match. They weren't defending their titles here. They want to warm up. They're facing the Miracle Violence Connection at the pay-per-view. The toughest challenge of their tag run to date. Also on the pre-show, we brought in Paul Orndorff and Jimmy Snuka, and they also got absolutely slammed when Jimmy Snuka got pinned by Terry Gordy with a backdrop driver. Steve Williams put on an insane performance of 80 there. That's another guy that we're pushing up into the 80s. Gary Hart debuts as their manager here. He got an old school manager gimmick, got an initial rating of adequate. Terry Gordy was off his game in this one. Let's see if Terry has any inconsistencies at all. So he's not in physical decline. So Terry's still all good. And we go to the opener. Vinny Vegas loses to Diamond Dallas Page via the Diamond Cutter. That means Diamond Dallas Page will be on the pay-per-view. Looks like he'll be taking on Vinny Vegas at the pay-per-view. Great win for Diamond Dallas Page. Rematch coming at Superbrawl 2. They're going to have to put on a better performance than this, though, to get over in front of a pay-per-view crowd. Yeah, I'm worried about that one. Now we have a Gary Hart backstage building up his tag team, the Miracle Violence Connection. Gary Hart on the mic. He clearly enjoyed having the freedom to go off script, and he performed well. Good man, Gary. So this is the only segment on this show. The tag team's actually live on TV. Oh yeah, we're in the 5 Seasons Center in Iowa tonight. We said we tried the Midwest region. Got nearly 7,000 people. That's not bad because it's not a big population centre, and it's not one of our most popular regions, like our fifth most popular region. So to put in 7,000 at the five season centre in Iowa is pretty good. And then we have Ricky Martin and Tommy Rich versus Steiner brothers. Scott Steiner pinned Tommy Rich with the Steinerizer. Let's see the performances. Rick and Scott are flying it. Yeah. So they're really building up their resume as the rightful number one contenders who are being overlooked in favour of the shiny new tie, the miracle, violence, connection. They are my shiny new tie. I've paid lots of money for them. They're going straight for the titles. Steve Williams might have the biggest contract in the company at the moment. I had to pay what All Japan were willing to pay him to get that contract over the line. So he needs to perform for us. And that's why he's gone straight into a tag title match. So Rick Rude is cutting a promo in the ring. Who's going to face him at the pay-per-view? It's the return of Nikita Koloff. Nikita Koloff turns face, complete success. Before he left for personal reasons, he was on the heel side of the roster. He has returned, he has turned face, he has challenged Rick Rude for the title, and they go into a brawl straight away. There's fuck all talking about Nikita Koloff here. He comes down, points at the title, and the two of them start slamming and banging. Let's see where that leaves Ron Simmons. And then we go straight into an absolute barn burner of a brawl backstage between Cactus Jack and Terry Funk, advancing their psychopath storyline. This is building up. I put this backstage because these two are having a street fight, a Falls Count Anywhere match at the pay-per-view. No DQ, no countouts. Their last match at Clash of Champions went to a double countout because these two guys were brawling all over the place. They're still brawling all over the place weeks later. Into Barry Windham and Aaron Anderson. I'm surprised these two don't have good chemistry. That's weird. Huh. Okay, odd one. But Aaron Anderson actually gets the pin over Barry Windham here with the spinning spine buster following interference from Tully Blanchard. So we've seen Tully lose to Barry last week. Helps Aaron, his tag team partner, beat Barry. Barry might have to find a tag partner to take on Tully and Aaron at the pay-per-view. We're backstage now with Steve Austin. Steve Austin talks about his upcoming match with Tito Santana. He also talks about the six-man main event tonight, which will be the first time he stands across the ring from Tito Santana. And tries to get a little bit of knowledge of his opponent for Superbrawl 2, where he'll be defending WCW World Television title. We have a wild brawl, 5 minutes 33 seconds. Big Scott Hall pins Abdullah the Butcher. Much better performance this week than Big Scott Hall in a wild brawl. Maybe we should book more of his matches because I told him to go out there and have a wild brawl. Maybe we should book more of Scott Hall's matches for now to be wild brawls on the shorter end in order to kind of increase those performances, because he gave a very low 50s performance last week, and that's not going to be good enough for the push we want to give him. And then we have Ron Simmons' interview. Takes place backstage with Eric Bischoff. He says he's not going for Rick Rude. He wants Lex Luger in Lex's last match under contract with WCW. It's going to be Ron Simmons versus Lex Luger. Lex Luger looks like he's going to sign with Vince up in New York. It's his last match for the company at Superbrawl. He's a former world champion. He's a former United States champion. He's been with the company on and off since the mid-1980s. Ron Simmons overlooks Rick Rude, said he doesn't want the US title. He wants Lex Luger in Lex's last match under contract with WCW. We have Big Van Vader getting his warm-up with Junkyard Dog. Big Van Vader absolutely destroys Junkyard Dog here in 2 minutes 47 seconds with the Vader bomb. Vader puts on an insane performance again at 86. He came out of this match looking real good. So Vader was told to just go out there and dominate. That's what he did. 2 minutes 47 seconds. Poor Junkyard Dog gets absolutely squashed with the Vader bomb. So now a more somber tone. This interview was done on an outside broadcast. Sting was interviewed by Tony Schiavone about the actions of Vader attacking him, hitting him with multiple Vader bombs last week. It took place in Sting's home. He In fairness to him, he did put on the paint. We flew Tony Schiavone out to Sting's home to interview him. A very personal interview. Sting is talking about the world title match. He's really building up how big of a threat Vader is to the new world champion. Sting has only one defense into his world title reign. That was against Rick Rude on TV, World Championship Wrestling Saturday nights, recorded on Wednesdays, shown on Saturdays. So Sting is really selling the effects of the Vader bombs from last week. He's nursing a small bit of an injury at home, but he says he will be ready for the pay-per-view where he's going to take on the monster that is Big Van Vader. That will take us to our main event for tonight. We have a six-man tag, Nikita Koloff, Tito Santana, and Ron Simmons versus the Dangerous Alliance, Steve Austin, Rick Rude, and Beautiful Bobby Eaton. In this match, Nikita Koloff, fresh back from a little break he took for personal reasons, he pins Beautiful Bobby Eaton with the Russian sickle, and he's going to be facing Rick Rude for the US title at Superbrawl 2 coming up in a matter of weeks. So the Nikita Koloff is a hugely popular member of our roster. Everyone's penalised for inconsistency here. That's slightly worrying. Still a very good match. 73 overall is good. Realistically, we'd want to be hitting 77s as a minimum for our main event. Who performed well here? Ron Simmons performed well. Rick Rude obviously performed well. Steve Austin performed well. Beautiful Bobby, okay. Tito and Nikita. Now, Nikita's been out of the game for a while. Will he have another warm-up match next week? Try and get off some of the ring rust? It just might happen. On that note, that finishes this week's show. It's overall a very good segment. Again, show benefited from having a wide range of angles. We had lots of different types of angles here. We had two brawls, we had backstage promos, we had interviews, and we had an interview even outside in the home of Sting. We flew Tony Schiavone out to see how Sting was doing, how his preparation is going, trying to recover from his sore ribs after multiple Vader bombs on the show last week. Financial report, yeah, we know when we go to these regions where we're not as popular, we're going to take a hit. That's much better than how we performed last time we went to Arizona. We only had a 40,000 profit. Here we have an 81,000 profit. For some context, I believe we started to save with 16 million in the bank. So we're up over 17 million in a matter of months. But we have a pay-per-view coming up, one of the bigger pay-per-views. I'd expect our pay-per-view revenue to be quite large for that. We do get broadcast revenue, which adds to this line of profit, but we don't know what that is until Saturday nights. I'm going to show you the finance page now. Popularity recap. Yeah, we went to the Midwest. We increased our popularity there. That was all points for this. Again, we've increased our popularity in New York. We might look at running to tri-state area soon. Southwest increase, Northwest marginal increase, same at New England, at Great Lakes. It's these big regions. We need to be putting on shows. So how the game works is, in order for you to increase in the region, your overall show rating must be higher than the popularity of that region. Now, yeah, this was slightly higher than these, but also it's been slightly hampered by our TV partnership. We'll go through that now as well, actually. There's Penny Mitchell. This is a really good screen in between stuff. Kind of, sometimes someone will pop up in there that you've forgotten about and you might go and sign them. We're going to be back in the Southeast region soon as well, where we're going to give Raven a tryout. Bringing in lots of lads for tryouts. We brought in Paul Arndorf there and Jimmy Snuka. We had them get killed by the American Violence Connection. We brought in, on the pre-show, I brought in a guy called Aika Saito. He lost to Lord William Regal. William Regal is Ohaku, who's gone to All Japan. So yeah, Jimmy Snuka and Paul Arndorf came in on a one-night deal. Rick Rude has gone to work some dates for New Japan, one of our partner promotions. Van Hammer's getting shit off Larry Zbysko. Says he just doesn't get it, man. He can't work a crowd. And Nikita Koloff's gone doing a few dates with the UWF over in Japan as well. And we do little house shows. We don't actually book them shows. They just run in the background. Right, let's have a look at our finance screen. This is what the finance screen looks like. So in January, we made a loss of 1.6 million. Now that was partly because we had a really bad TV deal. They bought us out of the contract to cancel one of our TV deals because it was terrible. It was like a 3-year deal on a really shit network.
and it would have really hampered our ability to grow. So I paid 2.75 million to get us out of that media deal. So if I hadn't bought us out of that, we probably would have made a profit in January. Um, so yeah, I don't know what we started with, but probably cash at the end of 17.4. But we took in 1.5 in pay-per-view sales. And if you see broadcast revenue there, we're actually made 197,000 this month, 245,000 January. We have more dates to go in February, so they should kind of mirror each other. We're getting sponsorship there in around 275k a month, and our merchandise. We made almost 400,000 in January, 222 so far in February. Our workers are costing us salary about 1.5 million a month. So what I'm always hoping is that their pay-per-view revenue will offset this. Production costs are going to be about 500k, but that'll be more than covered by ticket sales in a month. And then we have these other streams of revenues that should offset everything else and help us make profit. Let's have a click on our merchandise screen because we're running an upgrade. Let's see how that's gone. There's merchandise right here behind my head. So we're at 14% on the upgrade. Sting is obviously our top merch seller. He sold 63,000 in January, and he's already at 34,000 in February. See Ricky Steamboat is second, Rick Rude third. Even Dusty Rhodes is still selling merch for us. So that's where we're at there. Investments is that's the drug testing screen. Let's not do that. I'm very worried what we'd probably have to suspend some guys. So we ain't running drug tests. Let's look at investments. These are things you can invest in. You can create a venue, buy a title belt. Like these are all title belts that are up for sale. Any super prestigious ones there? Not really. Oh, the AWA World Heavyweight. What's that? Prestige 75. Larry Zbyszko, the last champion before the company closed down. Mr. Saito, Jerry Lawler, Kurt Hennig, Nick Bockwinkel, four-time champion. Stan Hansen held that title, now known as the model Rick Martel. Even Jumbo Tsuruta, one of the GOATs. Well, Stan Hansen, one of the GOATs too. Jumbo and Stan Hansen, two of the greatest wrestlers of all time, both held that title. See, Vern Gagne there was a 10-time champion. He was also the booker of the AWA territory. Mad Dog Vachon, another legend. The Crusher, big name. A lot of big names there. Dick the Bruiser. Don't know who Dr. X was. You can see Fritz von Erich held this title. This is a very prestigious title. Pat O'Connor, great technical wrestler from the 50s. Anything else there? We could buy that, like 45,000. It wouldn't cost as much. It's very prestigious. We can even look at the prestige. We can do other things. We could launch our own internet broadcaster. It's 1992. We're not going to do that yet. It's not realistic. If you're doing a modern game, or if you don't want to be realistic, you can launch your own broadcaster. And you can build it up like you see here. Like it costs you a lot of money. Like it would be 8 million for us to launch a broadcaster with big coverage in the US. But you make tons of money for that. It's almost like a cheat code in when I'm running. Like I did a WAW 2019 save. I launched my own network and I was just pumping money into the company. I was making like 2 million a month just on that. So it kind of becomes pointless. Yeah, but like I want to look at the broadcasting, right? Because this is important. You see TBS here. This is where we run our TV. They only have medium coverage. Okay. And there is a way to find out. I think it's actually in here if we launch our own broadcaster. Pick these. No. Does it tell you? No, it doesn't. So there is a numerical value. Maybe if we go to internet subscription, yes, here you can see it here. Like so, medium is which is our TBS coverage. We have medium coverage throughout the US. That really is for companies that have a popularity of 60. Like in the regions, some regions we're over 75. Jesus Christ! I tried to pause that and it didn't work. I sneezed on the internet. It's there for all to see. Clicked the wrong button. Panic of my sneeze. I didn't even cover my mouth because I was trying to click the button. Oh yeah, so you see, like we really want to be getting a huge
broadcast partner in order to really maximize our growth. So if you look at like size there, you can see this is our different size in each of the regions. So 60 is actually perfect for a lot of these. So medium is perfect for a lot of these. If we look at WWE, so we can go to the company screen, order by size, WWE are the biggest in the world. And we see their broadcasting. I think we can. No, we can't, but we can see where this is aired. Also, none of them look American to me. That's their main show, Primetime Wrestling. These do monster numbers. RTE1, they have 1,941 on RTE1. That's fucking brilliant. So yeah, we can't actually see who the broadcast partners are. But we can go into broadcasting, right? And we can view all broadcasters and we can filter this. We reset that and then filter that will negotiate with us. And we just say just in the US. We got coverage in USA. And we want to do minimum size, don't we? Minimum coverage, let's say big, which is bigger than what we have. So these are all TV networks that will negotiate with us that are bigger than the one we have already. So A&E, BET, CMT, Comcast, Comedy Central, Cox, Disney, HBO. Could be cool. Well, that's pay-per-view. We don't want that. So we want, we get on MTV. We could get on MTV. Nickelodeon. Very low risk though, and that won't suit some of the matches we want to do. MTV would be a great partner for us. We could do some hardcore matches and stuff there. Turner Premier is what we use for our pay-per-views. That's why we made so much of pay-per-view. They have got great coverage. USA Network, that's what WWE have. So they're big there. VH1 are big. Viewers' Choice, they have WWE, so they might want to negotiate with us really. This is a pay-per-view provider, so we're not going to run our weekly TV on that. So we need to find an actual Disney channel. Very low risk again. Yeah, so I suppose kind of A&E, they have medium risk. If we look at the ones that won't negotiate with us and try and figure out why, like to get on one of the networks, the commercial terrestrial channels, ABC, CBS, Fox, or NBC. These all got, Fox, we don't want Fox. We take that. We take ESPN. They're very big. Let's say ABC. Why won't they negotiate with us? Okay, so we need to increase our company size and we need to increase our music. We need to be 71 popularity in 9 regions. Is that the same for CBS? Yeah, it seems to be the same reasons why. So, like, in order for us to get the big, we need to achieve 77 popularity in 5 mainland US regions. So it's not including Puerto Rico and Hawaii. So we need to get 77. We have 4 in the 70s. We're not a million miles away from doing that. And the other part that would meet those requirements, like if we got onto one of those, we could challenge WWF for being the biggest company in the world. We'd actually be doing way better rents than them. If we look at production, right? So this is right behind my head as well. There's a production tab. We can upgrade things here, our production values, live event experience, broadcast quality, and music. So they want our music to be even better than it is. We're at level 6 or 7. We'd have to upgrade that. And look, if we're going on to that kind of TV, I'm going to upgrade this one anyway. So we're making a profit. So upgrading would involve a fee of 10,000. Once upgraded, your cost would be 50,000 a month plus 75,000 per night of shows. So it's going to increase a little bit. We're already paying 15,000 a month. So that's going to go up to 50. No, we're not going to do this just yet. We're going to start making more profit before. I want to see a few months before we start burning through cash. This is what Eric Bischoff did. He started burning through cash and the company went down to Swanee. We're here to be better than Bischoff. Okay? I talked myself out of that. We're going to be better than Bischoff. We're not going to fall into the same traps he did. Um, yeah, but we only have one night of television tapings left before we get to the pay-per-view. If you guys want to check in on Lord Stephen Regal, see how he's looking popularity wise. We increased again, possibly. He had a big win last night. Let's have a look at. So Steve Williams, like, has he increased in popularity since he arrived? Yeah, he has. Actually dropped in the Mid Atlantic. In general, he has. Yeah, he has. Yeah, because obviously he's a guy who want to push. Like, we put him on the 120,000 per month. That is a Bischoff move if I've ever seen one. I don't know if he's worth 120k a month. I got into a bidding war with All Japan and I got super excited. Like his personality, everything. He's so positive. He adds so much to the backstage. Let's have a look at our backstage mood coming up towards the pay per view. Locker room morale is excellent. If you remember back to episode 0, our first shows, we actually got penalised for how bad our locker room morale was. Dusty doesn't like Tom Zink. Ole doesn't like Dusty. Something's going to have to happen here. Can Dusty and Ole team up on Tom Zink? They both hate him, you know? Um, but like we had, like it looks bad there with these negative ones. But if you drop down, like look at the amount of positive influence we have. We actually have a super positive. Z-Man has a positive influence and the two boys hate him. Maybe we should run some team bonding sessions before our shows. You can do that actually. Um, yeah, but at least look, our locker room morale is excellent at the minute. That's down to me being awesome at my job. Um, let's get ready for the last set of TV taping. Oh, we didn't look at the pre-show. Power Hour, the B-show. So beautiful Bobby beat Jumping Joey Mags. I get Joey Mags a tryout because of what we seen creative earlier. Not great. Um, that was the angle with Vinny Vegas, that the promo he cut. Fabulous Freebirds actually defeated Brian Pillman and Ultimate Dragon to win the US United States Tag Team titles. The reason being for that is I noticed in the last match when I put those titles on Pillman and Ultimate Dragon is that actually, in fact, they had terrible chemistry tagging with each other. So I decided the titles need to come off them. Larry Zbyszko gave a good interview. Shane Douglas beat Van Hammer. This is the promo with Terry Funk where he said he's going to find Jack and they're going to fight. Terrence Taylor beat Firebreaker Chip. And again, I just brought in some guys on Io Sato and Power Uti for one nights to do job to our own guys. Also just to try out some unknown talent. But yeah, let's jump into the next episode of tapings, the last one before the pay-per-view, after a nice little update there on the game itself. We are back for the go-home show. Superbrawl 2, massive show. Second biggest show of the year, in my opinion. What do you think? Superbrawl, Halloween Havoc, Great American Bash. Starrcade is obviously number 1. But I think Superbrawl might be number 2. Maybe I'm just being biased because it's right around the corner and I'm extremely excited. This is the go-home show. A couple of pre-show matches. Z-Man goes over Rip Rogers. Brought in Violent J for a tryout. 30, not good enough. Won't be getting a contract offers. Vinny Vegas with a 50. Tony Norris, you might recognise him as the infamous Ahmed Johnson. An absolute banger of a wrestler in the late 90s. Mid to late 90s. Actually used to love watching him on Raw at the time. His feud with Farouk, aka Ron Simmons, was really good. Stephen Regal is definitely TV ready. It just doesn't quite have the popularity yet, but he's nearly there. We're going to debut him on the A show pretty soon, on the actual show itself, not the pre-show. Brought in a young Ace Steel. Ace is very young, he's only 19, giving him a tryout match. Jerry Lynn goes over with the Cradle Pile Driver. Ace Steel is penalised for inexperience. We knew that was going to happen. He also has a poor gimmick. But yeah, just want to bring him in, try him out, introduce him to the big leagues, you know what I mean? Young Steel, see if he might be worth signing in the future. He still meets the current junior heavyweight limit. He's under 225, so he's a guy we could bring in to flesh out that division in the future. He's probably not there yet, with a performance of 23. And I think with that we get into the. Oh no, we had another special pre-show match. We're up in Illinois tonight near Chicago. We have 5,113 people. So I brought in Wahoo McDaniel. I was thinking of McDonald's. What are you eating McDonald's now? Probably not. Um, we brought in Wahoo McDaniel, an all-time legend of the game. He's very old now. He's in his 50s, but he's local to the area. Put him on the pre-show. Didn't want to bring him in and beat him on the main show. He is, you know, in the Chicago region. He is a bit of, or was, and certainly in '92, a bit of an old legend. Um, Brought him in to work with one of our younger talents, Steve Austin. Someone in the comments after episode 0 said, "Don't push Steve Austin. He surely doesn't have a future. This guy isn't going to draw a dime." So I'm going to test that theory, see if perhaps this young, stunning Steve Austin might have a future in the biz. We also had someone in episode 0 commenting to bring in Triple H and make him a jobber. I am considering bringing in Triple H. However, IRL Triple H hadn't debuted yet at this stage, so he's not in the game yet. But I believe he's programmed to come in around the time of his official debut, which I think was in early '92. So it might be someone we'll keep an eye out for over the next few months. He could be a good undercard job guy. I think that's about his level. But yeah, Stunning Steve, picks up a good win on the undercard, getting the crowd hot for the main show, bringing in a local legend, and then beating them with Steve Austin. But we gave him 10 minutes. You know, they had a great heat and a good wrestling match. Onto the main show now. Tito Santana defeats Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. Tito's performances have been improving. Match got to show off to a strong start, got the crowd hotter. That's the kind of things we want to see. These two have great chemistry together. Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker's, his stats aren't great and his performances aren't great, but he most certainly. Do you know what actually I was thinking? What does that better there? I think it is because now you can see the segment rating. Let's give it a go for a little while. The segment rating 62, decent figure 4 leg lock, less than 7 minutes, nice little opener. We get a fairly long 7-minute promo, in ring promos from Cactus Jack and Terry Funk, building up their street fight for Superbrawl 2 coming up at the weekend. It's the last time they'll face off before they try to kill each other live on pay-per-view. We get Diamond Dallas Page versus Shane Douglas. Actually, Shane Douglas defeats Diamond Dallas Page here following interference from Vinny Vegas. So last week, DDP beat Vinny Vegas to earn a match against him at the pay-per-view. I'm worried this match is going to suck because DDP's putting in performances of 49 here and Vinny Vegas on the pre-show putting in a performance of 50. But we're going to give them the opportunity to go out on pay-per-view and try and stake a claim as two guys up and coming on the roster. But it's a big win for Shane Douglas as well. Now backstage, Tito Santana's coming back after his match earlier on the night. He gets attacked and laid out by that cunning, stunning Steve Austin. Steiner Brothers, just your typical squash match, keeping them on TV, picking up an easy win over Pat Rose and Bob Cook. Unfortunately, it seems that Pat Rose here has damaged his knee ligaments. Match itself wasn't great. Segment round 48. Bob Cook and Pat Rose, yeah, pretty crap. Pretty crap. And then a 6-man match. Ultimo Dragon's working with an injury, but this turned out to be an absolute banger of a match. 75 rating. Liger and Pillman put on good performances. Terrence Taylor put on a decent performance. Obviously, Ultimo Dragon is hampered by injury. Going to check after a show what the injury is. We don't know what it is yet. He's being assessed by the company doctors as we speak. And then we get Barry Windham being interviewed backstage by Gordon Soley. Windham says he will have a mystery partner for Super Brawl to take on Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Good overall segment. We get Ron Simmons versus Larry Zbyszko. Good performances out of two of them. Unfortunately, not like it's a weird one there. The wrestling rating is 71, but the overall segment rating is 66. Maybe brought down by the crowd heat, but it says over here that they did get the crowd very hot by the end of the match. But Ron Simmons picking up another victory. We know Ron will be facing off against Lex Luger in a huge match at the pay-per-view. Lex Luger refusing to sign a contract. This is his last appearance with the company. Ron Simmons asked for Luger's last match on pay-per-view. It has been granted that the powers that be, aka me, Booker Bill Watts. And now we have a brawl in the ring between Big Van Vader and Vegas. Big Van Vader and Vegas? I'm thinking of it. I'd love to go to Vegas. I've never been to Vegas. Have you been to Vegas? Big Van Vader and Sting. Sting calls out Vader. They've he was attacked by him a few weeks ago. Um, Laid out. Sting gave that emotional interview from his home last week. He wanted to get his hands on Vader. These two brawl and they're separated by all security rushing from backstage. This is the main event of our pay-per-view. And then the main event of tonight's show. We get Rick Rude and the Miracle Violence Connection versus Nikita Koloff, Steamboat and Rhodes. Big match here as Nikita Koloff will challenge Rick Rude for the US title at Superbrawl, and the Miracle Violence Connection will challenge Steamboat and Rhodes for the tag titles at Superbrawl. Segment rating of 80. Nikita Koloff seemed to be the weak link in the match. Rick Rude with an unbelievable performance of 85. Steve Williams with a great performance, 76. Terry Gardy also over 70. Dustin Rhodes over 70. And Steamboat 89. So we've seen Nikita Koloff turn face last week. He's debuted his new gimmick, got an initial rating very good. This one has benefited all the running storylines. They've gained heat, both of them. So this is a perfect go-home match to build to Superbrawl. Steve Williams picks up the pin over Nikita Koloff with the backdrop driver. So let's see how those matches go to pay-per-view. Excellent overall rating. Improves our popularity in a lot of regions. I think this is one of our most solid shows so far. Like nothing, our highest matches have been around the 85 mark. Nothing to match that, but still very good ratings throughout. The only kind of low point of the show was Steiner Brothers squash matches do poorly in the segment ratings anyway, but it's helping us get Steiner Brothers more over as number one contenders for the tag team titles who feel like they've been overlooked. Shane Douglas and Diamond Dallas Page didn't put on a great match either, but everything else was good and solid, and even in some cases excellent. So finish that show. Right. Pat Rose damaged knee ligaments, will only be able to work angles 30 days, not too bad. Ultimate Dragon broken jaw, and he can work through it. Tip of the cap to Ultimate Dragon, but I'm going to give you 3 weeks off. You've been running yourself ragged in multiple promotions at the moment. That's probably why you picked up the injury. Financial report. Overall profit of 30,000, very, very low. But we know that when we go outside of our main regions that the profits tend to drop a lot. We did go up to the Great Lakes region for this show to try and enhance our popularity there. We'll take a little bit of a hit now to try and enhance our popularity there in the long run. Because I think that could be a good money drawn region for us in the future. Popularity recap. Yeah, look, Great Lakes, that's where Chicago is. We've increased our popularity there. We've increased our popularity in New England. We've increased our popularity in the Northwest. And we have marginal increases Mid-South, Midwest, Southwest, and the tri-state area. We're struggling. It's kind of at the moment we need to either run. If to get our bigger ones like Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast, we need to run there in order to increase the popularity. But the pay-per-view is going to be taking place, I think, in Atlanta in the Mid-Atlantic. Or is Atlanta in Southeast or Mid-Atlantic? We're going to find out. We're running Super Brawl 2 in Atlanta. The climax, the main event of episode 2 of Total Extreme. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Super Brawl 2. We are moments away from the pre-show. Let's get into it. Larry Zbyszko on the pre-show defeats the Italian Stallion. Very good match, actually. The Italian Stallion there with quite a good performance. We could use him as a TV jobber. Just a win for Larry. We have 18,432 people in the Orlando Arena, home to Orlando Magic. I don't think Orlando Magic's still going in the NBA. I'm not sure. Next pre-show match, we brought in Glenn Gilberti, aka Disco Inferno. Took a hiding off Big Scott Hall on the pre-show. We have a 10-man tag match here, just literally getting people on the card. But Shane Douglas picks up the pin for his team of Regal, Bobby Eaton, Ricky Martin, Tommy Rich, and Shane Douglas over the team of an assortment of babyface jobbers. And this brings us into the main show. I think that's the last match on the pre-show. We're into the main show, second biggest pay-per-view of the year. We're opening hot with a junior heavyweight title match. Brian Pillman versus Jushin Liger. And oh my God, Brian Pillman has defeated Liger, wins the WCW light heavyweight title, but he does it with a handful of tights. This match goes 15 minutes on the button. Brian Pillman has cheated to beat his friend Liger. These guys have been teaming in 6-man matches for weeks. Pillman has cheated. What is going on? Both these guys are baby faces. But Brian Pillman, with a handful of tights, steals the light heavyweight title. Segment rating 77. Crack. I'm going to move my face up slightly so you can see there. Second match, Steve Austin, no surprise here, makes defense number 16 of the WCW World Television title, beating Tito Santana by submission, 12 minutes 35 seconds. Again, a very good match. Austin's in-ring performances have really improved. I did think of putting Tito Santana over in this, but his performances haven't been good enough. But we have the return of Brad Armstrong, formerly known as Arachnaman, from the infamous Armstrong family, a brother actually of the Road Dogg Jesse James. Would you believe? His other brother is on the roster too, Steve Armstrong, in that tag team with Tracy Smothers. He's coming in with a new legitimate gimmick. It's got over as adequate, but he's back and he's brawling with Steve Austin after Steve Austin killed Arachnaman a few weeks ago. The real Brad Armstrong has demasked and returned and attacked Steve Austin in an okay segment. We'll try and get Brad Armstrong over. His skills are really good, but Brad Armstrong is back as himself in WCW. He's got a cool army hat and a pair of shades, and he's going to be feuding with Stunning Steve going forward. Then we get Barry Windham and his mystery partner Robert Gibson has returned to WCW. Well, I suppose, was he in WCW or just Jim Crockett? Was he there when it changed from Crockett to WCW? I don't think he was. But Arn Anderson pins Robert Gibson using underhanded tactics. A couple of great performances there from Tully and Arn. Poor Barry brought in the mystery partner and lost. Then we get Harley Race pacing outside Big Van Vader's dressing room. Just there's tension in the air. This is building up. He speaks about the major world title fight in the main event tonight between Big Van Vader and Sting, not Vegas. We get Diamond Dallas Page versus Vinny Vega. Not a bad match. Segment round 61 is actually better than what I thought they were going to do. Vinny Vegas goes over. Then we get Rick Rude versus Nikita Koloff. Excellent match despite the fact they don't have good chemistry. But a segment rating of 80. That is defense number 5 of the WCW United States heavyweight title for Rick Rude. This guy's looking unbeatable at the moment. Not his best in-ring performance on a personal level, but the match got over anyway. We get an interview backstage with Big Scott Hall where he speaks about Vinny Vegas, and he says he wants a piece of Vinny Vegas. He's seen what Vinny Vegas has been doing to his old friend Diamond Dallas Page. And he wants a piece of Vinny Vegas, whether it be on TV or at next month's pay-per-view, Night of Champions, happening Saturday 29th of March, I believe. I don't care what day it is, it's fake anyway. And then we get Terry Funk and Cactus Jack in their street fight. Cactus Jack defeats Terry Funk in just under 9 minutes in an excellent street fight. Segment rating 80. Crowd really got into this one. Yeah, this one really worked. Terry Funk penalized for stamina. Segment rating was capped due to short match length. I wonder is the cap at 80 for matches under 15 minutes? Because that's their second 80 rating of the night. I thought it was 90 was the cap. Yeah. We get the Miracle Violence Connection defeating Dustin Rhodes. Steve Williams gets the pin on Dustin Rhodes. And Miracle Violence Connection win the WCW World Tag Team titles. These guys are, in my opinion, the best tag team in the world. Former 4-time AJPW Unified World Tag Team Champions, former two-time AJPW Real Tag League winners, never lost the titles, and now they're here and in their second or third match in the promotion have picked up the WCW World Tag Team titles. If you look at these performances, Ricky Steamboat with an 89, Terry Gordy with an 80, Steve Williams with an 84. All sorts of great things. Terry Gordy and their manager Gary Hart have good chemistry. Uh, Steve Williams, Terry Gordy, excellent chemistry. Steve Williams and Terry Gordy, tag team specialist bonus. Terry Gordy benefit from having a hot new move. This is just a sensational match, really. And we had got new WCW tag team champions in the Miracle Violence Connection. The guys I've paid mega money to entice over here from Japan. And it looks like they're running roughshod on our tag team division already. Who's going to step up to these guys? I'll tell you who. Rick and Scott Steiner. Two of the biggest badasses walking planet Earth. In fact, four of the biggest badasses walking planet Earth. Scott and Rick come out to face off with the Miracle Violence Connection to tell them we've been waiting. We've been number one contenders for this title for over a month, for 6 weeks. We beat the Fabulous Freebirds for number one contender. You guys skipped the line. We want the first shot at your titles. That is also going to take place next month at Night of Champions, and that is a banger in waiting. And then we get Lex Luger versus Ron Simmons, and what the actual fuck? Lex Luger has defeated Ron Simmons in his last match for the company with an attitude adjustment pile driver. Excellent match as well. Luger was off his game. There was a bit of lack of psychology on the show, but overall it was a really good match. Who was my road agent for this? Gary Hart. He's got good psychology, so that should have helped really. But the big story is here is Lex Luger's leaving the company. Rumor has it he's going to WWF. Normally, on the way out, you take the pinfall. Did Lex Luger politic backstage? Did he get to me? What is going on? Lex Luger has beaten Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons was hoping to beat Lex Luger on the way out the door, thinking that maybe Lex's eye is off the ball and that Ron Simmons would get a shot at the winner of tonight's main event. But Ron Simmons has defeated Lex Luger in what appears to be Lex Luger's last match in the company. Crazy. I used a note there again to create a finish to do. Lex pulled it off. But like, what does this mean? Like, what's this mean for Ron Simmons? What's this mean for Lex Luger? Next, we got our mega main event. We got Big Van Vader versus Sting in Orlando in front of 18,000 very hot fans for WCW World Heavyweight title. Sting in his second defense. And Sting is beaten by a Vader bomb. Big Van Vader has won the WCW World Heavyweight title at Superbrawl. And look, there's a reason I put the title on Vader. This guy is putting on incredible performances in the ring at 88. Segment rating 84. That's, I believe, the best singles match we've done. Sting with a 76. Very good performance. Dusty Rhodes wasn't great in colour commentary. That will hurt the overall rating. Very hot crowd. Big Van Vader has shocked the world. He's beaten Sting at Super Brawl 2. Sting's title reign only lasted 6 weeks. Big Van Vader is the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Overall rating 85. That's a cracker of a show. Address the locker room. We're going to praise here. You do this after your big pay-per-views. Big Van Vader praised for a great performance. Ricky Steamboat is getting praised for a great performance. And I think Steve Williams is the other one getting praised for a great performance. These guys really upped their game for pay-per-view. Vader's happy with that. Steamboat's happy with that. Dr. Steve Williams happy with that. Let's see how we did financially. Pay-per-view revenue of 2.2 million. Ticket sales of almost 500,000. Merchandise of 85 grand. Overall show profit of 2.6 million. Taking our bank account to 19.5 million. Like I said earlier, money isn't going to be an issue in this game. That's a much more pressing issue if you start off with a local indie or something. And it has increased our popularity across all major American markets. This is just an unbelievable successful pay-per-view. Dusty Rhodes was openly talked. This is post-show press conference. Sounds like a good pairing. Lex Luger was off his game tonight. I'm going to say I'm sure it was a one-off. Same with Tommy Rich. I'm sure it was a one-off. Looking at your competition for a second, do you have any comments to make about Pat Patterson, the head booker of WWF? Are you at all influenced by his booking decisions? I don't really know or pay any attention to his booking. That's not got to do with me. Whatever New York wants to do, New York wants to do. Harley Race taking Jumping Joey Maggs on as his new protege. Well, I think Maggs will benefit from that. As long as they remain professional. So this is Ole Anderson and Dusty Rhodes dislike of each other. As long as they remain professional, I don't tend to get involved. This has helped the locker room. They believe that I've showed faith in the locker room's ability to deal with its own issues. Media Scrum has been complete. We have just booked a monster pay-per-view cycle. We've seen 3 title changes in the course of this cycle on the paper. We actually saw 4 title changes during the cycle, with the Fabulous Freebirds winning the WCW United States Tag Team titles. But the big story is coming out of this is what's going on with Lex Luger. He just beat Ron Simmons. The guy is supposed to be leaving the company. Why would I make a decision like that to put Luger over? Did I make that decision? Did Luger politic his way into winning this match on the way out the door to keep his stock high going to New York? Sting has lost the world title. Big Van Vader is the new heavyweight champion of the world. Miracle Violence Connection have come in and on their first pay-per-view won the tag titles. Brian Pillman cheated to beat his friend Jushin Thunder Liger for the WCW light heavyweight title. These guys now want pay rise requests. He wants 509. Look, I have 19 million in the bank. You can have it. What's Cactus Jack want? 300 per show. You can have it. I have 19 million in the bank. What can I say? I've offered a contract extension. Oh, Jake the Snake Roberts, Jim Neidhart. There's a lot of contract work to be done here. Some of my own guys, some WWF guys. Do we want to bring in Jake the Snake Roberts? He's still young. He's still in great condition. Stats are awesome. He's an amazing heel. He could be a guy that could really help the territory. A lot to think about. A lot to think about. Yeah, we're going to go through here. So will we renew PN News contract? Terrence Taylor, will we renew his? Missy Hyatt, haven't done anything with her, but she might make a good manager. Let me see. Yeah, not bad. She could be a decent manager. Oh, wow. Compare her with somebody. Look at that popularity. That's it for today, folks. Episode 2. Total Extreme Morro. Booking the territory. How do you think we're doing? Who do you want to see pushed? Is there anyone you want me to bring in that may not be with us at this stage? But we've just had an incredible show. 18,432 sellout, increased our popularity in all regions, new world champion. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 2 done.